So we are finally doing this video. I was looking at this video for at least 2 weeks now. It's called I Finally Made Garum. So he finally did something. This is a video that's I don't know how old it is, but it obviously didn't come out yesterday. This is called Ancient Rome's Favorite Condiment. So what I thought Ancient Rome's favorite, by the way, I have no idea what garum is, but I'm so interested. I thought Ancient Rome's favorite condiment is olive oil, by and large. Is that what garum is? Or is it something different? Let's see.
Leave a barrel of dead fish out in the hot Mediterranean sun for 2 months, and you are going to have a rancid, putrid mess. But leave a barrel of dead fish and salt out in the hot Mediterranean sun for 2 months, and you're going to have one of ancient Rome's most prized and oft-used condiments, garum.
Okay, I'm listening, but I'm very concerned.
So today I'm going to teach you how to make your own garum at home in a lot less than 2 months and without offending your neighbors. So smash that like button the way Caesar smashed Pompey's army at the Battle of Pharsalus and get ready to learn about garum. This time on Tasting History.
I haven't said it yet, but yeah, go subscribe to Tasting History with Max Miller.
Garum, sometimes called liquamen, is fermented fish sauce. And before you say, ew, Rome, gross, you have to realize...
Fish sauce, I mean, that's a common term, like, especially in Asiatic countries, so is it similar?
That we still have fermented fish sauces with us today. Worcestershire sauce is made with fermented anchovies.
I didn't know that, and I like that.
And different varieties.
How did he say it, though?
Sometimes called liquamen is fermented. You have to realize that we still have fermented fish sauces with us today. Worcestershire sauce.
Worcestershire. How do you say that? I would say there's 3 ways I've ever said it. Worcestershire, which is just interesting. But there's also Worcestershire. I don't know which way to say it. Let me know what you guys... Please provide pronunciation instructions below.
Is made with fermented anchovies.
Isn't Caesar dressing also... That's funny. Caesar. Isn't Caesar dressing also made out of a similar concoction?
And different varieties of fermented fish sauce can be found throughout cuisines in East Asia. Nam Pla in Thailand, Nuoc Mam in Vietnam, and Ek Jot from Korea, just to name a few. And I am apologizing for my pronunciation of probably all of those sauces. And in the small fishing village of Cetara in Campania, Italy, they make something called colatura di alici, which translates to anchovy drippings, and is probably a direct descendant of garum.
Okay.
If you don't want to make your own garum, you can go ahead and use this as a good substitute. I will put a link in the description where you can find some. But since Tasting History is all about trying to recreate the dishes of the past rather than just buy their modern cousins, I decided to make my own garum. Now, when I ventured down this fool's path, I assumed it would take me a couple months because the traditional way of making garum, like the ancient Romans did, would be to take a large vessel, put a layer of whole fish, then a layer of herbs, and then a thick layer of salt about 2 fingers thick, and then just layer that up.
Ah, it's like a nice cake.
All the way until you fill the entire vessel. Put a stopper in it and set it out in the sun for 2 months, every once in a while kind of plunging it and mixing up all of the juices. And I was going to do this for you.
Okay, so somebody had to first do this. Somebody had to do this for the first time ever. It had to have been an accident, right? Like they left it out. Might as well try it.
The viewer, who I care for so much. But then a friend of mine who had ventured to Laos told me about a run-in he had with the factories that make their fermented fish sauce. And he basically said, you cannot do that living in a condo surrounded by neighbors. They would probably call the cops thinking that there was a dead body over here. So I was disheartened, but I kept up my research into Roman cuisine anyway. And I'm so glad that I did. Because I found out that making garum is covered extensively in a work called the Geoponica, which dates from the 10th century and is from Byzantium, which is...
Yeah, I was going to say, this looks very Western.
The Eastern Roman Empire, and it's said that it's based on a 6th century Latin treatise. Now it actually mentions 5 different recipes for garum, and some of them have wine, some of them have different fish, different ways of preparing the garum, but I'm going to read you 2 just to spare you from reading all 5. The best garum, called hymation, is made as follows. Take the entrails of tunny fish and its gills, juice and blood, and sufficient salt sprinkled on. Leave it in a vessel for 2 months at most. Then pierce the vessel and the garum, called hymation, will flow out. Kind of reminds me of that little spigot on the bottom of our cold brew jar. And I'm guessing that just like the cold brew, a tall ice glass of garum in the morning will really get you going.
Oh, God.
But it's this next recipe that rekindled my hope of making my own garum at home. Because clearly the author of the Geoponica knew that sometimes you just can't wait for your fish juice fix. If you wish to use the garum at once, i.e. not expose it to the sun, but boil it, make it in the following manner.
Okay. Now, it might not be as rich, but it might be good still.
Take brine and test its strength by throwing an egg into it to see if it floats.
Okay, so we're testing density. Interesting. Smart people.
If it sinks, it does not contain enough salt. Put the fish into the brine in a new earthenware pot, add oregano, put it on the fire until it boils, i.e. until it begins to reduce. Some people also add defrutum. Let it cool and strain it 2 or 3 times until the liquid is clear. Seal and store it away. Now, defrutum is a syrup that's made from reducing must, which is freshly crushed grape juice with the stems, seeds, and skins in there. And I don't have any of that right now, so I decided not to use it, and that's okay because he does say some people use defrutum, and I ain't some people. So with the Geoponica giving us full permission to make quick garum,
let's do it.
Let's do it. First, you'll need about 2 quarts of water.
Got it.
Then, a ton of sea salt.
Got it.
Probably close to a pound. It's going to depend on different things like the salt, the water, and the temperature of it, but he gives us instructions on how to tell when it's ready, so we will do that with the egg later on. Then some dried oregano.
Got it.
I went with 2 heaping teaspoons. Then, if you want, you can add some defrutum if you have it, or
Don't got it.
have must that you can reduce. I'm not going to, 1, because I don't have it, and 2, because I want the star of the dish, the fish, to really shine through. But you can also use honey. There are records of honey
Got it.
being used, or other kind of sweet things, so go ahead and use it if you want. Then you'll need about 2 pounds of small whole fish.
So this is where I'm at an impasse and I don't have it. So unfortunately, guys, I can't make it and then eat it on camera today, unfortunately.
You can use mackerel or sardines or anchovies or herring, anything that is an oily fish. Now they also use tuna, as in that first recipe, the tunny fish, but I mean, how much are you making? A tuna is like this big, so I'd stick with mackerel at most, because even a mackerel is kind of big. Okay. Lastly, you'll need that egg that I mentioned, but that's more of a tool rather than
that's like a level, really.
An ingredient. So first, we make our brine. Go ahead and start adding salt to the water. I'd start with about 400 grams at first, and then work your way up. I ended up using just over 400 grams. I ended up switching pots because the large pot is actually better for making this, but the small pot was better for testing it with the egg because the large pot, the egg wasn't even covered, so it couldn't tell. But mix it in, and every once in a while, put the egg in there, and once it floats, stop adding salt. Now, if you end up adding too much salt, that's okay. It's just gonna fall to the bottom, not a huge deal. Then the recipe says to add the fish to the brine in a fresh earthenware pot. I don't have that, so I ended up using a stock pot. So add the whole fish to the water and the oregano and stir everything together.
That smell must be crazy.
Then it's time to boil it. So put the pot over high heat and let the fire do its work. You're gonna boil it for between 30 and 40 minutes, and every 10 minutes, go ahead and kind of give that fish a mashing with your spoon just to break it up. Should break up after the first 10. So as your house fills with the scent of boiling fish,
yeah, you're gonna have to also buy candles on your grocery list.
My cat loved it, by the way. I'm going to show you why garum was such a popular condiment in ancient Rome.
My favorite part.
Noble garum, lordly garum, the taste of the sea. There was no end to the accolades that ancient writers put on garum. Pliny the Elder called it choice liquor, and his favorite was garum sociorum, often translated as garum of comrades. It was made of mackerel and came from southern Spain, and he said that scarcely any other liquid except perfume has become more highly valued. And while not all garum enjoyed such a price tag, it did become quite the booming business in the Roman Empire. It's thought that garum started in Greece with a sauce called gyros, probably made from a fish called gyros, which is the Netflix remake of a fish called Wanda. But when Rome took over Greece, the gyros took over Rome and became garum. See, the Romans didn't really salt their food, so instead, in pretty much every recipe that we have from antiquity, they use garum to impart sodium to their dishes. And in
Interesting. A liquid salt.
doing so, it also gave a certain umami flavor, which the Romans must have loved. Because in the most famous collection of Roman recipes that we have, De Re Coquinaria, nearly every recipe uses it, though by then it was called liquamen, but that is the story for another day.
Okay.
Not surprisingly, it was used in fish dishes and meat dishes and in most of the sauces, but it also found its way into vegetable dishes and fruit dishes and used as a salad dressing and even
I can easily see the salad dressing.
in some of the dulcia recipes or sweets, because fish sauce in dessert. What could go wrong? And it wasn't just used as flavoring, because it was quite the cure-all if Galen had anything to say about it. Now you might remember Galen from the episode on the Black Plague cures.
Didn't watch it. Sorry, not yet. We'll watch it.
Which I'll put down in the description below. Galen thought that foods controlled the humors in your body, which controlled your health. Every food had some degree of hotness, dryness, coldness, or wetness, and garum was no exception. He says that garum has the considerable capacity for heat and dryness, and on account of this, some doctors treat putrefying ulcers with it, and inject it into people with dysentery and sciatica.
Well, when you don't have like modern medicine, why not, right?
Now, if you take anything away from this video, it should be that despite what Galen says, you should never, ever inject anyone with fermented fish sauce.
Are you sure about that?
Ever. Also, while in one writing Galen says that it's a treatment for diarrhea, in another he says it's a treatment for constipation, so
It's a cure-all.
just kind of seems like wacky Galen's miracle tonic. I don't trust this Galen guy. Pliny the Elder, who I usually think of as a little bit more reputable, says that it was a good treatment for dog bites and earaches, and if you had stomach troubles, then the best cure was to eat African snails marinated in garum. Oh, but it needs to be an odd number of snails, because
That's funny.
that's a thing. But while it was medicinal to some, others thought that the condiment exacerbated gout, caused melancholy, and destroyed your teeth. So I don't know who to believe.
It sounds like a I mean, you don't live in the U.S., you don't know, but any like medicinal commercial where you'll have a pharmaceutical, like at the very end, you'll list off all the possible side effects, and it'll just list pretty much as many that you can name. But it's supposed to be also a good thing to ingest.
But regardless, the fact that it was in almost every Roman dish and it was used as medicine means that it had become quite the precious commodity by the time the empire took off. Garum factories were sprouting up all around the Mediterranean. In Judea, they made a kosher version for the Jewish population, and in Pompeii, it was known as Gariflos Scombri, or the flower of garum. Now, production centers tended to be, of course, on the coast, because
Fish.
plenty of salt, and moving fish, probably expensive, but also because the fish had to be very fresh. The poet Martial said, "Accept this exquisite garum, a precious gift made with the first blood spilled from a living mackerel." But as the empire's greed for garum grew, coastal towns had to say, "Hold your horses, this stuff stinks." There was a Byzantine regulation from the Hexabiblos that stated that any new garum factories needed to be built 3 stades away from any village or town.
It's like a interesting way of looking at pollution in the early days, right?
It's about 3/8 of a mile, and I'm not even sure that that would be enough. So yeah, lovely as the flavor might be, there were some that had less than great things to say about it. In an Epicurean tirade, Seneca the Younger said, "What? Do you not think that the so-called sauce from the provinces, the costly extract of poisonous fish, burns up the stomach with its salted putrefaction? What? Do you not judge that the corrupted dishes which a man swallows, almost burning from the kitchen fire, are quenched in the digestive system without doing harm? How repulsive, then, and how unhealthy are their belchings, and how disgusted men are with themselves when they breathe forth the fumes of yesterday's debauch. You may be sure that their food is not being digested, but is rotting.
So I'm going to say he didn't like it.
Not exactly commercial copy for Garum there. And even Pliny the Elder and Martial had trouble making up their mind about how they really felt about Garum. Martial once commended a young man for making romantic advances toward a woman who had already had 6 helpings of the stuff that night, and Pliny the Elder, who had called it proud sauce and exquisite liquor, also described Garum as the guts of fish and other parts that would otherwise be considered refuse, so that Garum is really the secretion of putrefying matter. And he's kind of right, but to be pedantic, it is not putrid, but rather fermented. With the salt there to stop putrefaction, the breakdown actually comes from enzymes in the fish's own digestive system, so that essentially it's digesting itself over the period of several months. Kind of like the Sarlacc pit. Anyway, let's get back to our own Sarlacc pit in the kitchen.
Let's go!
So once the fish
oh my God.
is boiled for 30 to 40 minutes, take it off the heat and let it cool. Then pour it through a colander. Now it says to strain it 2 or 3 times. I ended up doing it like 7 times.
I would do it like 1,000 times.
Making a huge mess while doing it because I started with cheesecloth. I wouldn't do that. It's just not enough. The best thing that I actually used was a paper towel and then a tea towel. So here is my bottle of Garum, a nice kind of pale yellow color. Also, if you are bottling this, because it's going to last forever due to the high salt content, but you do need to make sure that the bottles have been sterilized. So, you know, boil those bottles. Now, usually this is where I would taste the food that we've made. So,
what do you mean, usually?
I would just take a swig of this. But if you've ever taken the Latin course from Duolingo, as we all have, one of the first things you learn is Garum non bibis, or you do not drink garum. But I really want to try it in its pure form before I add it to another dish, and luckily Pliny the Elder says that if you dilute it to the color of honey wine, you can go ahead and drink it. So before I try it, I've diluted a glass here. I'm going to first tell you how it smells in its purest form. So
I would say probably like a very interesting rotting fish.
So, fishy. Smells very fishy.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm going to try this in the name of
There's no way he drinks that whole thing.
science. But before I do, I want to let you know that next week I'm actually going to use the garum for its intended purpose, which is as an ingredient. I'm going to be making mitulis, or mussels, as described in the De Re Coquinaria by Apicius, and that's what we'll be talking about. So make sure to hit that notification bell when you subscribe so you'll be notified when that comes out. Okay, enough stalling. Here we go. Garum. Oh, I feel like that episode of Friends where Ross is going to drink the fat.
Yeah. We're gonna drink the fat for me.
It's just a vanilla milkshake with pieces of fish in it. There aren't actually pieces of fish. It's been well strained, but okay, here we go. Enough. So, whoever said that it was the taste of the sea is right. It tastes like
the sea.
The ocean. It's not actually as fishy as I thought. It's more of just like salt watery.
I mean, yeah, you diluted it, so yeah, of course. And there's obviously going to be a high like salt hit on your tongue. Maybe like a hint of fish.
It tastes like the ocean. I think that it actually might be a very nice ingredient. That said, I'm not going to be putting it on a salad, and I'm definitely not going to be finishing this glass. So, yeah. Anyway.
Wow, what an interesting thing, though, garum. It seems like it was very much an acquired thing. almost similar to maybe like how we look at caviar nowadays. It's very acquired, right? It's a luxury similar to how garum was. It also comes from the sea, or from a fish, whatever. So it's acquired, but it has its own. It has its ways to be a complement. Obviously, caviar isn't medicinal, like how garum was medicinal. Um, However pseudoscience it might have been, nevertheless, it surely is an interesting thing, which has evolved to many different fish sauces across the world as we've gone through time. Thank you guys for being here. Let me know down below if you would have tried garum. Put me some video suggestions down below as well. I'll catch you guys next time. Peace out. Bye bye.